is the president of Realizing True Hope Ministries, and I will let her talk more about it, but Realizing True Hope Ministries seeks to support women as they walk with Christ through extremely difficult circumstances, often women who have experienced horrific periods of abuse in their lives. But I'd love for her to tell us more about that, so let's give our attention to Betty at this time. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to be here this weekend. It's been a great blessing to me and to my partner to be able to share what the Lord is doing, and I'm thankful for this opportunity to share a little bit about what our ministry looks like and who the ladies are that walk through this ministry with us. Realizing True Hope Ministries has had the opportunity over the last 6 years to minister to women in various ages and stages of life. We've met single 20-somethings, attempting to make sense out of adulthood through the fog of the distorted views of their past. We've worked with women in their 30s, married with children, who were sorting out issues that surfaced because of decisions they were trying to make in their parenting. We've even had a 70-something widow who couldn't see how her past was impacting her present. I would like to share with you some of the stories of the journeys through Realizing True Hope Bible studies. Many women come to us knowing that something's not right, but not understanding the brokenness that they feel that stems from the sins committed against them in their past. This was the case with Stacy. She was a married mother of two whose marriage was unsatisfying, whose relationship with her mother was strained, and who had chosen to pour herself into the lives of her children to an unhealthy degree to escape the pain of her life. She told us about the multiple men who shared her mother's bed, the bed she shared with her mother. But she repeatedly told us she'd never been abused. As Stacy participated in our Bible study, she began to see that what she had experienced created confusion and brokenness that she still carried with her in her adult life. And she began to deal with the reality that all that she was struggling with was related to those things. She began to see how this impacted her relationship with her husband. She saw that the root of her struggle related to her mother. She grasped that she was trying to create for her children what she had never had for herself. Today, Stacy has acknowledged the issues that bound her to her past, and she trusts God to walk with her as she continues healing. She's pursuing an education to work as a licensed counselor, and her relationships with her mother, her husband, and her children are all more balanced and peaceful. She's walking with the Lord and discovering more and more who He created her to be. Marion was an older, widowed lady who participated in our study under protest at first. She had a history of physical abuse in her childhood, which led to a marriage to an abusive man, and she could talk openly about it. She had no problem admitting abuse was part of her history, but she couldn't see that it had any hold over her life in the present. She argued with us at every turn, refusing to acknowledge that the study could possibly have any impact on her life. Yet she continued to show up week after week. She refused to participate in an activity that we do that encourages the women to reflect a little bit more into their own lives. And she left the study early that day, a little bit in a tiff. And we didn't know if she'd come back. She came back the next week with her activity completed more thoroughly than anybody else in the group. When we were about halfway through our study, and her challenges had become quite intense at times, the Lord finally grabbed a hold of her heart and revealed Himself to her in a brand new way. She came back the next week, shared with us that even though she had thought herself to be a Christian all of her life, that she really had not been, but now she was because God chose her. Sorry. We closed our books and we celebrated a new sister that day. Since then, we've watched God draw Marion to Himself. We've watched her struggle with a physical illness that is taking her life slowly. But we've celebrated with her every day that every moment she still has to breathe is a moment to praise Him. This is a small quote from a testimonial she's written for us. Although I had been healing from childhood abuse, marital abuse, alcoholism, and spiritual poverty for 28 years, I believed I was saved, and I didn't begin to feel the love of Christ until I completed your class. Vivian was a young mother of two who was happily married, involved in the church, and loved the Lord. But there was a sadness to her that nobody could really pinpoint. She participated in our study and revealed that her father, a missionary, was a brutal man, indisciplined, and physically abusive. She struggled to understand God as a loving father because she never had a loving father, even a man who led others to Christ. Vivian participated wholeheartedly in our study. She asked questions, she shared stories, she admitted her confusion, allowing God to reveal himself more and more to her. Her smile has become more genuine, and she is able to talk about her parents with sincerity and love, rather than the superficial facade she had been accustomed to. Here are a few more testimonial statements that come from some of the ladies that have been through our study. I was shocked to learn all the ways I had been affected by the abuse, including my relationship with God and other people. The Bible study, group sharing, and prayer really helped me gain clarity as to what I was doing that kept me from true emotional intimacy. I was a mess of hopelessness, despair, anger, and impatience. And through Jesus and the Holy Spirit, I have been redeemed and now enjoy a life of hope, peace, and serenity, and a desire to be of service to others and not myself. I learned to look at my wounds, to see how they impacted my life decisions, including my choices of self-preoccupation, and to let go of these so that I could really, really receive the healing grace and love of Jesus Christ. These are all stories, when wrapped up in these tidy little summaries, make it seem like we have a magic formula that makes people better. We don't. The successes we've experienced are because God has his hand on what we are doing. He has called us to this. He has taught us with every woman that he has brought through our study. And he continues to teach us more and more about who he is and what he desires for us to do in the lives of these ladies. And he's chosen the ladies that he has brought to participate. We've walked with them over time. The weeks we spend together in Bible study only scratch the surface. Their growth and healing have come both during the study and since, as we walk in mentoring roles with them. And not all our stories are so tidy. We have dealt with some women who have shown up to a fellowship event. They don't get their ears tickled about how God will magically take away their pain, and so they don't come back. Some complete the study half-heartedly but never make changes in their lives. We have had women who have completed our study, built meaningful relationships with us and with others, found substantial healing, only to be sabotaged either by their own behaviors or by the behaviors of people who say they love them. And we've cried and we've grieved to watch them sink back into old ways, and we've watched God close the door on our relationship with them for this moment. We've had women who have taken our study more than once because they realized that they really didn't put the effort into it the first time, and they knew they could get more out of it if they do the work. We've also had women we've had to turn away because they were using our study as a crutch and not really doing the work that they needed to do. Along the way, we've met with the loved ones of the ladies who participate. We've helped them see more clearly how their loved ones' past are binding them in the present. We've helped them build more loving relationships, understand and respond better to what are sometimes very bizarre behaviors, and walk together to heal their relationships as God works in their lives. We've walked with church leaders as they sought to find the best ways to help women in their congregations. We've trained church elders, lay leaders, and pastors to help them understand the profound need for more education in their congregations. Clearly, the work that we do is too much for our little team of people. I have written and led our Bible studies and our training programs, and I have a faithful co-leader who is here with me this weekend, and an administrative support person who does a lot of our behind-the-scenes work. We are also advised by a group of mature believers in the mental health field, along with pastors and elders, but we are still just a small group of people. Wounded women are in every church. They sit in the pews week after week. Do you recognize them? Probably not. But you may recognize that something's just a little bit off. Can you offer them the hope and healing that God offers them? Certainly. but maybe not in a language that's meaningful to them. As I close, I want to share one more story with you. Susan is a single mother of 12-year-old twins. She grew up with an abusive father, and upon learning he was engaged to be married to a lady with a young daughter, she prosecuted her father to prevent him from harming another little girl. After that, her twins were conceived by rape. Susan struggles to understand why, after she did the right things, why did God still allow this rape to happen? She loves her children, and she's a great mom. She does not regret them, but her life is hard. She is emotional, but she is passionate. She keeps trying to plug into a church, but people feel uncomfortable around her. Pastors have felt uncomfortable by her story. They don't know how to help her, and she feels like they avoid her. Imagine walking into your church to see the pastor down the corridor and to see him make eye contact and turn and walk another direction because he doesn't know what to say to her. She's completed our study, and she participated wholeheartedly, but because she feels shunned by more than one church leader, she struggles to comprehend how much she is loved. It is our greatest joy to work with these ladies, and we love them. We experience their joys with them. We experience their sorrows with them. We celebrate their victories, and we grieve their losses. But we are only effective in doing that to the point in which that we can build relationships with them. If you desire to see the hurting people in your church grow in their relationships with the Lord and experience victory over all the things that bind them in the present, please come visit me at our table in the fellowship hall. We'd be thrilled to help you discover how you can build a ministry like ours in your congregation, where God will use the people that he has put in her path to help her heal. God uses people to redeem what was broken in other relationships. Laura Story sings a song called Blessings. Part of the lyrics say, "What if your blessings come through raindrops? What if your healing comes through tears? What if 1,000 sleepless nights is what it takes to know you're near? What if trials in this life are your mercies in disguise?" Wounded women can hear these words, but they cannot make application of them to their own lives and their own hearts. Their brokenness and their blindness runs too deep. They need a friend, a mentor. They need someone who knows God and loves him to continually point them back to him while he does the work of healing her soul. Are you willing to be that person? Thank you.